So if you've been sitting for a while in a cross-legged position, if you haven't already, you can just switch the cross of the legs. And then pull the buttocks flesh back and out to the sides. You're sitting more on the buttock bones. If you're sitting directly on the floor, you might want to find something to sit up on, a blanket or a block or something for a little support. And then take your hands to the floor. Fingertips if you need to. Press down, take the lower back in. Come to the points of the buttock bones, not too far forward or not too far back. Keep pressing the hands on the floor to make the chest light. Lift the rib cage up towards the ceiling. Soften the shoulders a little bit. Let them descend. And then just bring the backs of the hands to the knees or to the thighs. Keep the head level over the shoulders, the chin roughly parallel with the floor. And close your eyes from top to bottom. And then when we close our eyes, we lose one of our primary sources of perception. And when that happens, the other senses get stronger. Let your sense of touch increase. In particular, the area of the surface of the skin. Start with the face. Relax the forehead, the eyebrows, the temples. Soften the skin of the cheeks. Relax the jaw, relax the tongue. Soften the skin of the throat. So there's no hardness there. Maintain this passivity in the face, but continue to sit tall. Again, using that sense of touch, observe once again the buttock bones. Keep a sense of balance left and right, as well as front and back on the buttock bones. Keep a sense of heaviness there. So the skin of the inner groin should soften and release downwards. So there's a heaviness and a grounding of the legs to encourage more lightness in the spine. Begin to observe the breath without force or strain. Let your inhalations be a little bit more full. Let your exhalations be a little bit more complete. Release some of that residual air, the stagnant air that tends to lie at the bottom of the lungs. Bring clarity to the lungs. Bring the palms together at your chest in prayer. And let the skin of the outer thumbs go right up against the sternum and let the outer thumb sort of draw the sternum upwards, the skin of the sternum upwards. But conversely, soften the shoulders, let them descend slightly downwards once again. And keeping the chest lifted, keeping the shoulders descending, bow the head forward, surrendering the ego of the mind to the wisdom of the heart. And then release your hands to your thighs. Lift the head with eyes closed. And then open the eyes. So we're going to start by lying on our sides. You might want to arrange your mat so you can see the screen, but I'm going to have you come to lying down directly on your right side with your arm up and over. If you're unsure, you can just look at the screen and see what I'm doing. My left hand is the left hand should be in front of you for balance. Stack the legs one on top of each other. Get the heels to touch. If you can, get the mounds of the feet to touch. And awaken the legs. Instead of them just being soft and released, find a state of Tadasana so that the legs are straight. The thighs are firm. The inner groin should lengthen towards the heels. And again, the feet should be stacked evenly on top of each other. Now, again, finding Tadasana, you still want to sort of push the mounds of the feet, get some activity in the mounds of the feet. Press the thighs back as you take the tailbone in. So again, we're finding firmness in the legs. Now, you have your hand here for balance. Gently press down, and now begin to reach your right rib cage farther and farther away from your right hip. Drag that right rib cage. Press your hand down and reach. Find extension. Struggle to find extension. Now, the other thing we want to do is begin to reduce the amount of sort of light that might be shining or space that might be coming from the outer armpit to the floor. You want to try to close that distance. You want to get as much of the outer armpit to release more and more towards the floor. Keeping the leg straight, take the tailbone in. The inner groin should roll towards the wall behind you as the tailbone comes forward, just like Tadasana. And once again, squirm a little bit more. Find more space in the right rib cage away from the right hip. Now from there, bend the right arm, let the right hand just rest on the back of the neck, back of the head. So the head is supported. But again, you're trying to sort of reduce, instead of having this lightness, this space underneath that right armpit, you want to try to keep as much closure from that right armpit to the floor as you can. Keep the legs straight. Now, the legs are straight, the thigh, the mounts of the feet are pressing into each other, the heels are pressing into each other. You should extend through, even here, through the mounts of the feet, even though we're lying down. If you can, bring your arm to the side without falling over. Tuck the tailbone in, roll the inner groins back. Good, hand at the floor, release. Now, some of you, if you want, you can just turn around to do the other side, but I'm flipping over so you can see me do the other side. You can make that decision. Rolling over to your left side, if you want to just flip over and face the other direction and listen, that's fine. But once again, you want to have your legs stacked like Tadasana. And the first thing I'm trying to do is find length from my rib cage, from my hip to the rib cage, and I reach. I begrudgingly drag that left rib cage away from the hip. And then I extend the arm up and over, and I'm using this right hand to give me lift and really find more and more extension. But the legs, instead of being soft, awaken them. Mounds of the feet, heels should be touching. And I press again, the hands into the floor to reach that left rib cage farther and farther away, creating, demanding space in that area in the spine. And then again, I'm trying to close the space from that left armpit to the floor by reaching that left arm more forwards. And then keeping as much of that closure of that left armpit going, sort of let the hand come to just the back of the head. It's not so much the side, it's almost sort of the back, and your gaze will look up slightly. Keep both legs straight. Inner thigh should roll towards the wall behind you, tailbone should tuck in, just like Tadasana. If you feel stable, bring the arms by your sides. You'll notice that the feet need to work. If the feet are too soft, your balance will be less stable. Good. Release, bend the legs. Turn towards the floor to come up. Briefly come to child's pose. You can face in either direction. Adho Mukha Virasana. Big toes together, knees apart. Have the hands shoulder width apart. Reach the chest and sternum forward. And let the head come to the floor. If you need a blanket or a block to bring the floor up to your head, do that. Now begin to straighten out the arms. Like I said, we're going to be working on neck and shoulders today. So already begin to think about trying to create space in the neck and the shoulders by drawing the tops of the shoulders towards the hips, back. And there are different variations of Adho Mukha Virasana, different sort of, we can be more passive and more active. I want you to begin to get a little bit more active. Spread the fingers wide, as I often ask you to do. Get out of your heads and get into the extremities of the body so you can really feel the mat underneath your fingertips, underneath the knuckles, the palms, the heel of the hands, getting as much of that, getting out of your head and more of that tactile awareness. Now press the hands down and begin to see if you can get the skin of the forearms. The skin of the forearms to begin to push towards the bone. So there's going to be a little bit of a lightness of the forearms. The hands will press down, but the forearms will begin to want to leave the floor a little bit. And you use that leverage of the skin pushing into the forearms to complement more release of the shoulders back. And then from here, come directly to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes under, straighten the arms, straighten the legs. If your hands are slipping, you're welcome to grab the edges of the mat. Keep the feet about hip or shoulder width, no narrower than hip width apart. At least hip or shoulder width apart. Straighten the arms, straighten the legs. Push the tops of the thighs back. Now keeping the legs straight, begin to walk the hands back to the feet for Uttanasana. Take your hands to your knees or shins. You can look forward. Again, this inner groin should roll back. The hamstring, the buttocks flesh should sort of draw towards the ceiling as the thoracic spine absorbs into the chest. And then from there, lower down. Take your hands to your elbows. Release the head. Standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Just stay here for a couple of breaths. Observe the weight of the body. Are you falling forward towards the mounds of the feet? Keep pressing the shins back so you can keep the weight more in the heels. Relax the face, relax the throat, relax the neck. Switch the cross of the arms. Again, keep the legs straight. Observe that over time, sometimes we tend to fall more towards the toes. Keep pressing the shins back so that the weight remains more in the heels. And then take your hands to your waist and come on up. So just kind of standing for a moment. Have your feet a little bit apart. We're going to do a little bit of anatomy for a moment. I want you, if you can, hopefully you can see, everyone's going to just take your hand to the base of the skull. It doesn't matter which arm, it's fine. And begin to walk the fingers down. First you feel tendon and sort of muscle here, and then you get down and you start to touch maybe the vertebrae. And you can find sort of each individual vertebrae, and you're going to come down until you find one that sticks out a teeny bit more than the others. You walk your fingers down, you'll find that there's one vertebrae that just is almost like a little bit of a lump. It's sticking out a teeny bit more than the others. Are you with me? Have you found it? Some of you can just give a thumbs up or something. Yeah, okay, good. So and we do, we almost all have this. So what this bone is, what this particular vertebrae is called C7, cervical 7. So you have the cervical spine, you have the thoracic spine, then you have the lumbar spine. The cervical spine, again, and the numbers go from 1 to up, and the numbers go up as the spine goes down. So C7 is the lowest of the cervical vertebrae. Now, in some sort of in some physical therapy and some yoga therapies, there's an argument as to whether that bone should actually be considered a thoracic bone or a cervical bone, whether it should be something with the neck or whether it should be connected to the thoracic spine. What you want to do, and go ahead and take your hand there again, just use the other hand if you want, and manually sort of tuck the fingertips in and push down on that vertebrae. Tell that vertebrae to go down to connect more with the thoracic spine as opposed to with the skull. And this is more just tactile, just getting a little bit worn out, getting some rubbing of the skin there, just gets you a little bit more aware of that area. You take your arms down. If you don't already have a strap or a towel or something, please get one. So like I said, a towel is fine. It doesn't need to be a strap. It can be a necktie. It can be a regular belt. You're going to grab the strap behind your hand. So you can see my palms are facing forward. But I have the strap behind me, and it's slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Now straighten out the arms. And you can see my torso. Again, I drop the shoulders down, and I draw the strap towards the floor. Now, even as we do this, we tend to lean forward. Make sure the weight of the body is on the heels. Draw the tops of the shoulders. And again, take your mind at that particular spot, that C7. Tell that C7 to drop away from the base of the skull. Roll the inner elbows outwards. So the inner elbows are beginning to roll towards the walls on the outside of you. The triceps towards each other. Keep descending the tops of the shoulders down. Now just take the hands a little bit away from the back. But don't let the shoulders shrug. Keep descending the shoulders down as the hands go a little bit more away from the back. Keep the shoulders descending. Hands a little more away from the back. Good, release. Come out. We're going to go straight to cow's head pose, Gomukhasana. You can take the strap over your right shoulder. If you don't need it, you don't have to use it. But take your right arm up. Left hand grabs that right arm, rolls the entire arm so your palm begins to turn towards the back of the room. Now bend and pat yourself pretty much on your own right shoulder blade. So the arm shouldn't be real close to the body. It should be a little bit of space here. Aim the elbow towards the ceiling. Take your left arm out. So the entire arm rotates. That left shoulder blade should rotate out towards the ceiling, and then find the fingers, find the strap, get connection here. Find contact, find purchase. Now, again, with this right arm, roll the outer arm a little bit forward and lengthen from the armpit towards the elbow. Lengthen from the armpit towards the elbow. And again, try not to crowd the ear. In fact, find a little space between sort of the neck and the top of the shoulder. Good, release and come out. Switch sides. Same thing, take your left arm up, right hand grabs that tricep and makes it rotate. And don't let go, pat yourself almost on your own left shoulder blade. Now begin to aim the elbow towards the ceiling. Good, extend your right arm out, lift that whole right shoulder blade up to rotate the entire arm. Good, great, find the fingers, find the strap. Rewrap that left tricep a little more forward and lengthen from your armpit up. The skin of the armpit should reach towards the elbow, but try not to crowd the arm too much. Keep a little space sort of from the neck to the top of to the source of the shoulders. Relax the face. We have a tendency to sort of bring the head forward in this pose. Draw the chin back a little bit. And again, that same C7 spot, ask it to drop down. Good, release. Come out, arms out to your sides just for a moment. And then down. Good. Get a couple block. We're going to do some standing poses, triangle pose, half moon, or a warrior pose, those things. If you need blocks or support, have them. Come to standing on your mats, please. Let the block be on your right side. If you don't have a block, you can just take your hand to your near shin. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. But separate your feet 4 to 5 feet apart. Turn your left toes in. Turn the whole right leg out. Both legs should remain straight. Keep your left hand on your waist. Take your right hand down to the block. And you can see I'm at the highest point. So don't try to go too deep. Don't worry about getting deep in this pose yet. Give yourself the space you need. The right leg should be straight. Gus, yeah, come up higher if you need to, Gus. So instead of this, come up to there. There it is, good. Now, instead of taking this arm up, I'm going to take this arm parallel to the floor. The palm should face down. So let your left arm run parallel to the floor, both legs straight. Again, for a moment, we're going to turn the entire arm, the inner elbow, up towards the ceiling. You're going to roll the collarbone from sort of the chest outwards to get this rotation of the arm. Now, both shoulders should draw away from you. Back to the right arm. The heel of my hand. So I'm holding the block like this. I want everyone, if you can, to rotate the entire heel of the hand so it faces outwards. And you can have your hand on the near shin to do this too. You can just sort of turn the hand around, but get this distinct rotation. So instead of the heel of the hand going this way, I turn the entire arm. So now my inner elbow is facing away from the leg. Draw both shoulders down the back. Look towards the floor for a moment. Don't look up, look towards the floor. Just turn and gently look towards the floor. Now keep the back of your neck soft. Keep the jaw soft. Keep the throat soft. Keep drawing the tops of the shoulders down the back and begin to take that left arm up. Don't look up. Keep drawing the tops of the shoulders down the back. Take that left arm up. Now, if you want to turn and look up towards the top hand, soften the jaw and turn from the back of the neck, from the back of the head, to look up at that left arm. And if you turn from the back of the head and you keep the jaw soft, it'll be easier on the neck. Keep dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Good to come up. Take your hand, the left hand to the waist, gently come on up and out. Be parallel. For a moment, walk the feet together. Stand in Tadasana, just observe for a moment. But one of the things I want to emphasize is just sort of how you could do this. You hear teachers say, hey, this pose can be really good for the neck. Hey, this pose can be really good for the back, all those kinds of things. And it's more how you do certain poses. And a lot of poses can be very beneficial for a lot of things. It depends on where you put your focus. So again, we're going to use these poses as a way to really address the neck and the shoulders. Going to the left side, turn your right toes in, turn the whole left leg out. Keep your right hand on your waist. Take your left hand to the knee, the shin, the block. Both legs straight, left leg straight, right leg straight. Take your left hip a little deeper towards the right hip. Now we'll start with the down arm this time. So I turn the whole arm, the whole heel of the hand outwards. Because what this does too, if you're getting it right, you'll feel your left shoulder blade tuck in, pushing into that back chest. When you turn the arm, you'll feel the plate of the shoulder blade pushing into that back chest a little bit more. Let that happen. It helps you turn the chest more towards the ceiling. Now, right arm is parallel to the floor, not up. Just to start, right arm is just parallel to the floor. Now, again, from the shoulder rotates as the palm faces up, your triceps should come forward. And it's as if I'm there pulling this wrist back, away, pulling, I'm drawing that wrist, that arm back, so there's clarity again in the back of the neck and the shoulders. Feel that left shoulder blade push into the back chest to turn the entire chest towards the ceiling. Look towards the floor. Soften the neck, soften the face, soften the jaw. Keep drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Keep getting that C7 to go down the back. Soften the jaw. If you want to turn to look up towards the ceiling, sorry, take your right arm up. Right arm up. Keep drawing the shoulders down. If you want to look up towards that right hand, soften the jaw, soften the back, turn from the back of the head. Turn from the back of the skull, back of the neck, to look up towards that right hand. Keeping that softness there. Keep turning the whole abdomen, chest from left to right, upwards. Good. Pull from the top hand and come up. Hands to your waist. Feet parallel. Walk them together. Stand in Tadasana. Straighten the legs, lift the chest. Again, descend the shoulders down. Feel that same spot. See if you can sort of keep re-identifying that C7 vertebrae, telling it to drop down. Good. Separate your legs. If you have just one block, you can move it over to the right side of your mat once again. Turn the left toes in, turn the right leg out. Stand heavily on the left leg as you bend your right leg. Get the right knee directly over the heel. Adjust as you need to. If your knee goes past the foot pretty easily, that means you want to separate your feet wider and get that knee really over the heel instead of forward or too far back. More directly over that heel. Now the arms again. Take the arms slightly behind you. Draw the shoulders down, turn the palms outwards. So that, again, we're looking more at the chest almost than anything else. Roll those inner elbows outwards, descend the shoulders towards the floor. Keep the chest lifting, keep descending the shoulders towards the floor. Take the arms out with the palms up. So you're in warrior pose with the palms facing up. The triceps should not be soft. They should not be resting. The triceps should be engaged and lifting the arms from underneath. So you can look at my arms. My triceps are soft, and then I firm them, and I lift the arms from underneath. It opens the inner elbows more. As I lift from underneath, again, soften the shoulders, let them descend, broaden from the chest. Virabhadrasana. Now try not to change the arms at all. Just turn the hands over. Don't let the whole arm get lost. Keep sort of getting the inner elbows up towards the ceiling as the palms draw down. Good. Straighten the right leg. Going directly to the other side. Right toes in, left leg out. You can relax the shoulders a little bit with your hands on your waist. Left toes in, right toes in, left leg out. Standing on that right leg, bend your left leg. Again, knee directly over the heel. Hopefully the distance should be sort of have been found from the last side. But start again with the arms down. And strangely enough, even this, just when you take your arm down a little bit away, suddenly the whole sternum finds space and lifts, right? It's as if you're holding two heavy suitcases. The shoulders are drawing down. Turn the palms out, inner elbows out, take the arms up. Virabhadrasana, warrior two pose, with the palms facing up. And again, don't let the triceps be soft. They're hard to, it's hard to get the mind to connect there. But awaken those triceps and don't let go. Soften the shoulders and descend that C7. Turn the hands over, but not the arms. Good. Hands to waist, straighten the leg. Right toes in, left leg out. Left toes in, right leg out. Same position with the legs. Stand on that back leg, bend the front leg. Good. This time, keep your left hand on your waist. Take your right elbow to the knee. Heading for side angle pose. Press the elbow into the knee. Begin to turn the chest, the abdomen upwards towards the ceiling. Now, even here, you can, if you're going to keep your arm resting on the knee, or you can go to the floor if you want. That'll be slightly different. But even here, when the arm is resting on the knee, you want to begin to just turn the hand out so you can get a little bit of this rotation if you're going to keep the arm on the knee. If you're going deeper, you can take the hand to block and do the same thing we did before. Rotate the heel of the hand away from the body. Both legs are straight. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Take that left arm parallel to the floor once again. And imagine I'm there pulling, I'm dragging, pulling this arm away from you. And it also helps you find length on that right side. The more you draw that left shoulder back, the more extension you'll find on that right side. Now, instead of taking the arm up and over, keep the palm facing down, but that tricep firm, the inner elbow up. Palm facing down and forward. Bring the arm up and over. And not up and over, forward and over. Yeah, it'll be smoother on the shoulder. Press that right hand into the floor. Keep turning the chest up. Ground that left foot lengthen through the whole left side of the body. But again, instead of feeling this sort of shrugging of the shoulder in, draw that shoulder down. Catch the shoulder blade into the back chest for more support. Good. Press the back foot in the floor. Gently come up and out. Other side, right toes in, left leg out. Keep that right leg straight. Bend your left leg. Get the knee directly over the heel. Get your elbow on the knee. Just pause here for a moment. Press that elbow into the knee. Begin to turn the abdomen, rotate the abdomen and the chest. And again, if you're going to keep your elbow on the knee, you might want to just turn the arm a little bit and turn the palm up so you get a little of that rotation. If it's here, it tends to, you lose all that work we're doing. So even if your elbow is going to remain on the knee, you might want to just turn that wrist and palm out. Those who are going to take your hand to the block into the floor, you can do that again. See if you can get the heel of the hand to go away from the body. Keeping the back leg straight, right arm parallel to the floor. For a moment, turn the palm up, roll that right tricep forward so you feel the shoulder blade pushing into that back chest. And again, imagine I'm grabbing this wrist and drawing you back. And you'll notice when you pull the shoulder back, you get more extension on that left side. You'll find more space there. So if this gets collapsed, short, this gets collapsed. You can find that space. Now, turn the hand over. Instead of taking the arm up and over, keep the palm facing down. Feel a smooth movement as the arm begins to extend overhead. And instead of this closing of the arm with the neck, find space here. Draw that shoulder away. Turn the chest up. Lengthen from your right foot to the right fingertips. Good. Press the back foot in the floor. Gently come up and out. Hands to your waist. Feet parallel. Walk them together. Tadasana. Standing mountain pose. For a moment, catch your breath. Relax the face, relax the throat. So yeah, for all that work, part of it is that, you know, and I know this with my own teachers, is part of it is just sort of distraction, right? You've been in this pose, you're working your legs like crazy, but I keep talking about your arms so you don't think about your legs as much. Right? So I mean, there's the art of distraction from a teacher's perspective. We're going to go to side forward bend. I would recommend getting a chair if you have one. If not, you can use I see some couches there. You can take your hands on the couch. If you have a couple blocks, you can use them. Briefly, let me show you what we're going to do. It's this pose, side forward bend. This is the classic version. But what I want to emphasize, and again, so you can see on the chair, is when I do this stuff, we're going to use the arms. So I roll, again, those triceps forward towards each other. The inner arm's going to push forward to give me some leverage as I come into the pose. So instead of the arms collapsing, I use the arms to help find space in the chest. So if you have a chair, blocks, whatever you might need, you might find a little support helpful. So the supports will be on one side of your mat, probably the right side. Face the supports for a moment. Take your hands to your waist. Just step that right foot forward a little bit, step the left leg back. So you're facing the support. And now come forward again. You don't have to use the seat of the chair. You can grab the legs of the chair if you want to go a little lower, but find something that gives you support. Now, what's important, as I always emphasize, is that you don't want to collapse the back. The reason we have this support is so we can get the thoracic spine to draw in a little bit. So even if you're this high up and getting this space, you're much better off than sort of coming down and letting the back chest collapse. Now, straighten both legs. Press your left shin back. Pressing the hands into the support. Again, it's the same thing. Turn the inner elbows forward. Feel that the triceps are sort of behind the arms. Push the triceps forward so the sternum releases forward, even though the outer shoulders drop back. Press the hands into the support. Keep standing on that back leg. Begin to lower down. You can go a little bit lower on the legs. Roll those triceps forward. Reach the chest and sternum forward. Go lower down if you want to. But keep, again, letting the arms do some of the work to create space in the chest and not crowd the neck. Feel, again, that C7 going down the back. And then from there, those you can begin to lower down, completing the pose as much as you feel like you can. And as we get lower, the arms begin to bend, and those elbows change a little bit. See if you can maintain some of that integrity of the arms to keep that front chest open as you come down. Let the head finally release. Do let the head go down, but it should be about the last thing to go. Good. Begin to straighten out the arms. Come back to that Arda position where the chest is open. Good. Hands to your waist. Come up. Be parallel. So just to keep everything in position, just step the left foot forward and right leg back. So you don't have to move the blocks. You don't have to move the supports. Think about that right leg. Roll the inner right groin back so the right hip moves a little more forward, so the hips are more square. Come again to the supports. Find a nice or a very well-supported Arda position, a very well-supported half position. So again, you can really work the arms, the triceps towards each other. Those inner elbows open up to awaken the spine a little bit. The arms are sort of pushing forward while the shoulder draws back. Triceps pushing towards the bone while the shoulder draws back. And that work makes you find space in the chest. Go back to that C7, descend it down the back, away from the base of the skull. Begin to come lower down, keeping both legs straight. Absorb that thoracic spine, keep standing on the back leg. Don't let the back of the neck crowd. Keep descending the skin, the flesh of the back of the neck down towards the back as you come forward. And then from here, continue to reach the chest forward and begin to lower down to complete the pose. As we bend forward, we tend to let the skin of the back chest roll towards the base of the skull. Keep struggling to resist that temptation to let the back flesh crowd the base of the skull. It should go in the opposite direction. As you're bending forward, you should feel the skin of the back chest going towards the hips. Good, back to the Arda position. Straighten your arms, come up on the supports as you need to. Carefully come up and out. We're going to go directly to Prasarita or Prasarita Padottanasana. Separate your legs forward bend. And again, I want to show you how the arms are working. It's all very similar here. So you can obviously see a theme. Instead of everything rolling in, we're rolling out because it speaks to the shoulder blades and gets the chest to open. So you can see even here, when I'm in this pose, I work on the same idea. Watching briefly, it's a game between the arms and the legs. The thighs are pushing back, trying to get the hips to go back. The arms are pushing forward. So I'm trying to drag the sternum forward with the arms while the thighs are pushing back. It's almost, you can get a movement. Everyone separate your legs if you haven't already. Yep, come to your hands and knees. Make sure that the outer edges of the feet are parallel. Don't let the toes turn out. And the goal isn't necessarily to get your feet as wide as you can. The goal is a forward bend. It's not a sort of groin opener. Now, for a moment, I want you to all do the wrong way. Turn the fingers towards each other. We're doing it the wrong way first, just so you can feel why. So we're doing the opposite rotation. Turn the fingers towards each other and feel how disconnected the shoulder blades are to the back chest. Are you with me? You just nod. Yeah, okay, good, right on. Now, do the opposite.
Turn the fingers out away from each other and feel how those shoulder blades begin to want to connect to the chest a little bit more. If you're too low, it might be hard. If you need to be up a little higher to have that support, use it. Now roll those inner arms, those elbows forward. Now again, from this position, before we go into the forward bend itself, begin to make the triceps push forward and the thighs push back. Push the thighs back, triceps forward. So you're really, the arms and legs, as I often say, are working in service to the spine. The triceps are pushing forward, but your outer shoulder should roll back. You should feel the trapezius muscles going down the back towards the hips. Reach the chest and sternum forward, look forward. Shoulders down the back, chin forward, look forward. Now from here, begin to lower down. Keep the legs straight. Walk the hands in line with the feet, but still shoulder width apart. If your head doesn't come to the floor, that's fine. Good. Keep those wrists turned out a little bit. Draw the arms should be roughly parallel, the forearms should be roughly parallel with each other. And again, as you're bending forward, instead of feeling the flesh of the back chest going towards the base of the skull, you want to work on trying to engage, pressing the hands gently down so that the shoulders go away from the ears as you come down. It doesn't matter whether your head's on the floor, it doesn't matter if you're floating or hanging. The intention is to feel, again, that movement of the skin away from the base of the skull. And if you're getting it right, you'll actually feel the front chest release a little bit more. Relax the face, relax the throat. Good. Begin to straighten out the arms. Art of position, heel toe the feet in towards each other a little bit so you can gently come on up. Good. Press the hands down to come up. So if you're on a hardwood floor, you might want to fold your mat once or twice. I'm on a blanket, so I'm not going to fold my mat. I'll tell you right now, we're not doing headstand. We're not taking our feet off the floor. We're going to do some of the stuff that we do to prepare for headstand. So for starters, all of you guys looking at me, take your arms forward. Parallel to the floor. Again, let the shoulders drop. Interlace the fingers. Bend the arms at the elbows. Get your thumbs, so you're in this position where the thumbs are sort of crossing or touching, and you want the thumbs to go right along there's what we call the occipital ridge, the skull, the base of the skull bone. Keeping the fingers interlaced, let your thumbs go more or less right along that occipital ridge. If you're unsure, again, hopefully you can see the placement of my arms. Don't let the elbows go away. Draw the elbows slightly towards each other, and again, let the shoulders go down the back. You shouldn't be pushing your head into the hands. It's just gently supported. Let the shoulders go down. Good. Release. So that's really the position of the arms when we do headstand. I want you to see what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, my feet are going to remain on the ground the whole time, but this is just, again, just sort of a preparation for headstand. This is actually a technique that's really good for rotator cuff problems. Anybody who has shoulder problems, rotator cuff is when a first sign of your rotator cuff problems is if you take your arm and it hurts, right? If it starts to hurt when you take, that's usually a sign that maybe you have some rotator cuff issues. What I'm about to show you is a surprisingly beneficial technique for that kind of problem, for rotator cuffs. Now watch. Showing you from the side. Again, I interlace my fingers to the webbing. My elbows are about shoulder width apart. So they're not too close or not too wide. I come to the crown of the head, that same spot where the thumbs are going right along the base of the skull. And then I press, you chop the wrist. You're really chopping into the floor. Chop the wrist and forearms down to get the shoulders to go away from the ears. And then I'm going to ask you to straighten the legs. This is all we're going to do. We're not going up into the pose. Press the forearms down, walk the feet in, keep the shoulders away. And then you're just going to come down. So again, no legs are coming up. You're not doing actual headstand at all. Come to your hands and knees. And I'll talk you through it again. Now, interlace your fingers. Bring the forearms to the floor. Look to see if the elbows are roughly in line with the shoulders. If the elbows go wide, there's a collapse that happens in the shoulder. So make sure, again, in the neck. So make sure that the shoulders are directly under, the elbows are directly under your shoulders. Now begin already, right here with your hands on with your knees on the floor. Begin to chop the forearms down and feel that there's a lift. Chop the forearms into the floor so there's activity. Now, there should be a space in the hand. The heel of the hand should not touch. It shouldn't be like this. It should be spacious there. Bring the crown of the head to the floor and find that same sort of nested position you had when we were standing, when I was showing you standing, so that the thumbs are running right along that occipital ridge. Now, once again, chop the wrists and forearms down. Chop the forearms into the floor. Penetrate the floor with the forearms. Tuck the toes under, straighten out the legs. Make sure that you are on the crown of the head, not forward. You shouldn't be looking at the floor. You should be looking sort of across the floor. Walk the feet in a teeny bit. Chop those wrists and forearms down again. Chop them down intentionally, almost to the point where you don't want to put weight on your head. You're trying to really let the arms do the work. Walk the feet in a teeny bit more. Take your back chest in as you chop the wrists and forearms down. Come to tiptoes if you can. Chop the wrists and forearms down. Good. Release. Come down. Rest in child's pose. Take a few breaths here. We're going to do the same thing one more time. Come to your hands and knees. This time, if you remember, try to change the interlace of the fingers. Switch the interlace. And once again, take your forearms to the floor. Now lengthen from your elbows towards the wrist. So the wrist, you should be lengthening through the whole outer forearm and wrist towards the pinkies. Press those wrists and forearms down. Get them very heavy into the floor, and then come to the crown of the head once again. Tuck the toes under. Straighten out the legs. Press the forearms down. Now, many of us, those elbows begin to come apart. You have to draw the outer elbows a little towards each other. Chop the wrists and forearms down. Walk the feet in a teeny bit more. Yeah. I see that, Bob. Looks good. Back chest in as the feet walk towards the arms. And release. Come on down. Take a few breaths. Child's pose. Press the hands down to come up. So early on, usually early in class, one of the first few poses we almost always do is downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And I want to show you the picture of BKS Iyengar doing this pose. I want you to see sort of the space in the shoulders that it uses. My book is falling apart, so I actually just have the page. But for starters, look closely at this picture. This is BKS Iyengar doing downward facing dog, the pose that we've all done, many of us, many times. Now, what I want you to see, now watch what I do here. I'm blocking off the shoulders. And look at his back. It's not concave. It's not in a back bend at all. In fact, his back is really straight and long. It's the shoulders where the space comes. Can you see that? See what I'm saying? So this, and then of course his head is on the floor. I'm not asking him to do that. But what you see is that the space is really here. His back is long and open. There's not a collapse in the back. Now I want to show you something. Watch me do the pose. And this is what I see some people do. When they're in a pose, there's this collapse of the back, where everything kind of draws in. And what this means is there's a flare in my front chest, but the back chest is actually short. So what I need to do is find that extension and begin to find more space in the shoulders instead of in the head itself. So it's not that my back is bending, it's that the shoulders are spacious and I'm finding more depth in that way. Could you see a difference? Yes? Okay, good. So your turn. And after we've done, so we're doing downward facing dog later. The idea is so hopefully you can feel maybe a little more space in the shoulders than in this variation when doing the pose now compared to the way we do at the beginning of class. Come to your hands and knees. Spread the fingers wide, open up the palms. Keep the feet about hip width apart. Straighten out the legs. Go on into the pose. Downward facing dog. Come down for a moment. Everyone come down. Hands and knees once again. So we did this a couple of weeks ago. Make sure your knees are directly below your hips. Make sure your hands are directly below your shoulders. Now, this is just a measurement. Your fingertips, you want to get your heel of your hand to go where the fingertips are. You're moving your hands just one full hand's length forward. And this is all just sort of a general measurement. Same now. Back to those arms, pressing the hands down. In fact, turn the wrists out a little bit so you can get that same rotation we've been working on. Turn the inner elbows that way, in the direction of that you were looking. Tuck the toes under, straighten the legs, straighten your arms. Yeah, there it is. The distance is better. Now, like I said, we want to try to find space in the shoulders. Push the thighs back, push the shins back, really trying to standing on the legs. But take note of your space now, the pose you're in now. Now, everybody, bend your legs deeply. Bend your legs a lot. Yeah, a lot. So the whole upper chest gets lower to the floor. Now, you want to try to keep your upper chest spacious and open and low where it is as you straighten the legs out. Begin to straighten the legs, but don't let the chest come up. Yeah. Release the head, let the head hang. Lindsay, soften the neck, let the head, yeah, there it is. Push those thighs back. Straighten the legs. In those inner elbows, again, the triceps should turn towards each other. The inner elbows should roll more sort of forward or away from each other. Relax the neck, let the head hang. But see if you can just sort of get a different sensation in this pose than maybe you did when you did it in the beginning of class. Relax the face, relax the throat. Good, rest in child's pose once again. If it's, in fact, everyone take your arms down by your sides. Instead of having the arms up and over, just let them go down by your sides in child's pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. Your head on the ground, your arms down by your sides. Yeah, just let the shoulders rest for a moment. Press the hand down to come up. Good. So again, a lot of what we've been doing has been preparing us for variations of bridge pose too, and variations of shoulder stand. So that's where we're going next. If you're unable to take your hands to your ankles, you're going to want to have a strap. You can watch me briefly. I'm lying down. Get the strap around the ankles. The feet are a little bit apart. I roll the outer shoulders underneath me, press the feet up, lift the hips. So this is the pose we're going to do. Come to lying down on your backs. But again, if you can't contact your feet with your hands, get a strap, get a towel, get something so there is a definite connection between the hands and the ankles. You don't want to, you want to have that traction there. Now the feet should be about hip width apart, and you can't see your feet, but you don't want the toes turning out. You want to keep the feet roughly parallel with each other. And like I said, you can't see it, but try to feel that the feet, there it is, Casey, I see you fixing that. Good. Release the buttocks flesh towards the heels a little bit so that lower back is flattening slightly more. And now all the work that we've done with the rotation of the arms, do that. So that the inner elbows should roll away. The triceps towards the body, the biceps away from the body. When you're lying naturally, your hands will begin, the thumbs will get heavier and closer to the floor. If you're doing all this correctly, the palms should not face down, the palms should face up towards the ceiling because of the work of the arms. Grab the strap, grab the ankles, or some of you can take your feet, your hands under your feet if that's the connection that you want to do, that's fine. Now gently press the feet down, lift the hips up, and rewrap those outer shoulders more underneath you. Once the hips are up, use that space to access those outer shoulders more. The shoulder blades should draw in towards each other and begin to push into the back chest. Push the feet down to lift the hips up, but the arms need to work here. Press the upper outer arms down to give the chest lift, so there's no collapse in that upper chest. And what's important too is that the head isn't pushing into the floor, that there's no hardness in the throat or in the jaw or in the tongue. It should be sort of soft and receptive there. And it's a challenge, right? Sort of differentiating the areas that need to work and the areas that don't. But it's really important, and I mentioned this last week or the week before, how those real high-level teachers, those master yogis just know what parts of the body need to work and what don't. And so they can remain in a pose for longer without as much effort. Push the tailbone towards the ceiling, upwards. Good, release, come down for a moment. Just rest, take a few breaths. This time we're going to use the support. Hopefully you all have a block or a blanket or something, or even just a bunch of thick books that you can use to support the sacrum, so you don't have to use your legs to do it. So make sure the block is near you so you don't have to struggle to find it. Press the feet down, roll the outer shoulders underneath you once again, lift the hips up. Chatushpadasana, four-footed animal pose, also known as bridge pose. Press the feet down, lift the hips up. Find that block, find the support, blanket, block, books, whatever it is, to give a little lift to the sacrum. And again, it should be under the sacrum, not under the lower back, really under sort of almost between the upper buttocks flesh. So in this position, that C7, that vertebrae that we were addressing early on, should feel like it's being pushed in and up a little bit, into the back chest and up towards the ceiling a little bit. But again, here you want to really try to begin to soften, even though the arms are still working. You're in that support, but the outer arm should still be working to push into the floor. But really soften the side, the skin, back to sort of the skin of the body, being that sense of touch as we did at the beginning of class. Soften the sides of the neck, the sides of the throat, the root of the jaw, right at the hinge of the jaw where it meets almost that area of the ears. Try to relax deeply there. So you're in this position where that part of the body is the lowest portion and is getting more fresh arterial blood. So you want to ask that area to be as spacious and open as you can. Inviting fresh arterial blood to circulate. Okay, press the feet down to lift the hips up. Move the support out from under you. Take your buttocks flesh a little towards the heels as you come out. Good. Go ahead and wrap your arms around your shins. As you're lying down, just hug the leg for a moment. And you can roll a little bit to the left and to the right. And then happy babies pose, hands to the feet. Thank you, Al. Hands to the feet, knees towards the floor, feet towards the ceiling. Again, just rolling, letting the hips release, letting that lower back release a little bit. And then let go. Roll your sides to come up. If you can find a spot at the wall, take your legs up the wall. Otherwise, you can either go directly to Shavasana if you have nothing, or you can let the backs of the legs rest on the chair seat or on a couch seat, like so, if you want. If you are able to get near a wall, get your hips close to the wall too. And I saw Al, she has a bolster. If you want to put some support under the hips, I would encourage that. So as you're lying here, whatever position you've ended up in, feel again that the flesh of the back, chest are going away from the base of the skull. Adjust as you need to. But that doesn't mean you want to hyperextend the back of the neck. It's not that you're reaching the base of the skull away, it's that you're reaching the shoulders, the flesh of the shoulders more towards the wall or more towards the legs. So as I had emphasized before, it almost doesn't, of course, certain poses are good for certain issues, but it also depends on your approach to the pose itself. For those of us who maybe have shoulder problems or maybe tension headaches and those kinds of things, a lot of what I showed you in the standing poses, triangle pose, warrior pose, side angle pose, that taking that approach with the arms can really do a lot to create space and reduce strain or pain or discomfort in the neck and in the shoulders. And so much about of yoga is just about finding space. Almost all diseases, discomforts that we have of any kind are related in some way, shape, or form to a lack of space. Even something like cancer, which is sort of an invasive thing that takes space away from other parts of the body, and it reduces the ability for the other parts of the body to do their job. In the same way, it's no different really than compression of the vertebrae. The term sukha means good space. Some of you, if you're familiar with Buddhism at all, you might have heard the term dukkha. And dukkha sometimes translates to suffering. But if you break the two words down, duh and ka means space, duh is sort of the negative, so negative space. But there's the positive, which is su, positive space, sukha. There's a pose called sukhasana, a seated pose. But we're always trying to create space where there wasn't some in the body. If you'd like to remain with your legs up the wall, you can for the last few minutes for Shavasana. If you'd like to bring yourself to Shavasana where you're lying flat on the floor, you can make that change now. Either way, the intention will be to just really, truly let go as much as you possibly can. Using all the awareness that you've sort of accrued, that you've acquired through the practice you've done the last hour. Use all that awareness and sensitivity now to tell the body to let go. And search as you're lying here mentally, sort of shining a flashlight on different parts of the body and the dark parts of the body, just sort of bringing a little bit of what Iyengar would refer to as the light of awareness to the body. And use that sort of discriminating sense to look for any parts of the body that are still tight or withholding. Is your jaw tight? Are the muscles around the eyes hardened? Can you soften there? Again, then the skin of the throat sometimes gets hardened, and if you release there, you can really feel softening and a letting go in the area of the neck. But soften the surface of the skin. And bring your awareness just below the surface of the skin, where you can feel the movement of circulation. You can start to feel the pulse in the veins just under the skin. And as you're lying here, the heart, the pulse rate is slowing down, your body is quieting down. But you can really pay attention to sort of the heartbeat and the release of circulation in the body. And there's almost sort of a reverberation or a delay from when the heart beats to where the blood reaches the feet or the tips of the fingers. And just sort of immerse yourself in that sensation. You begin to work more deeply into the muscles, telling the muscles to let go. Sort of as if you're asking the muscles of the body to fall away from the bones. And even the bones themselves should almost feel like they're kind of bending to the pull of gravity. As if you could possibly soften the bones. But observe the breath. Let the exhalations be a little bit longer to encourage a quieting of the mind. And you can start to let your inhalations be a little bit longer and a little bit fuller. So your awareness begins to move more outwards. And bend one leg, bend the other. Feet on the floor. Just gently roll to your side. Stay on your side. You can rest your head in your arms. Just stay there for a couple of breaths. When you come up, press the hands into the floor so the spine doesn't have to work. The arms are doing the work to bring you to a seated position. And just come to a comfortable cross-legged position as you did at the beginning of class. Just for a moment, almost repeating the beginning of class. Let the backs of the hands rest on the knees or on the thighs. Head level over the shoulders. Soften the shoulders. Let them descend down again. For a moment, close your eyes. Relax the face, relax the throat. And just observe if there's a difference in the feeling of the body and the neck and the shoulders than there was when you started class. Hopefully more spacious, hopefully a little bit more vital, more alive. Bring the palms together in your chest. And I thank you all. Namaste.